Men, what's the hardest thing to explain to women? Story 1. I was at home when my wife and her friends got home one day from the pub. They were all giving me funny looks and smirking. I asked what was going on. They at first refused to tell me. After a little while of prodding, one of them goes, "I heard all about your junk," and they all broke into laughter. I was a little taken by surprise, but laughed and said something like, "Oh yeah? Hopefully all good." And they laughed, and that was the end of it. After they left, I was like, "What the hell did you tell them?" And my wife responded by saying how she told her friends about our vigorous romps on our honeymoon in Mexico, apparently in great detail. We were there for a week and probably had spicy time about 3 times a day. We were both pretty sore when we got home. We had an all-inclusive day, so we ended up getting drunk and got pretty physical with each other as you do on a honeymoon. She was like, "Whatever, you probably tell your friends all about us when it's just the boys. I don't know about you guys, but the extent of whatever I say is usually a raised eyebrow or something like, 'Aw yeah, boy.' I've never once described my wife's body to a single one of my friends. Nothing in detail about any of my spicy partners from before my wife, and it blew her mind. Apparently girls talk in great detail about it. Guys usually don't, and they assume we do, and we assume they don't. This sounds like the ultimate crossed wire expectations. Do girls really talk in that explicit of detail? I'm trying to think back, and I don't think guys ever really talk about that. Not that explicit. We don't describe every little hair or every little bump on your skin. Knowing that girls go into that explicit a detail, I'm actually shuddering a bit. Story 2. You girls have so damn much control over our emotions without knowing it. Most of us men are so damn touch-starved that the feeling of you running your fingers through our hair is a truth serum to us. You have us. We're no longer in control. You talk all soft and quiet and sweet-like and ask whatever questions you want while slowly running your fingers through our hair. And we're stuck, defaulting to our sleepy selves, answering anything you ask truthfully. We cannot control what we say or do at that moment. And again, for most of us, we aren't flexible enough to scratch our own disgusting backs. So in the wild, we rub it up against stuff like trees and walls and the corners of door frames, etc. So when you scratch our backs just right, that weird face we make and position we adjust to is how we do the doggy kicks when you scratch a dog in the right spot. Same damn things. We hide our emotions too often, but you have the keys. You may not always see the effects, but you have the freaking keys. You have the big red button. Just know what happens when you press it. Yeah, this one is painfully true. I don't think girls know how easily we can succumb to a simple touch from you. I also think there are some girls that know it all too well. If we don't have that kind of physical intimacy, it's always us that seems to be blamed. We're responsible for getting our own girls, so to speak. Story 3. Talking about a problem but not coming up with a solution is mentally taxing, to put it mildly. I'm going to make some broad generalizations here, so bear with me, as I'm not eloquent enough to encompass the entire spectrum of gender. When a woman approaches a man to talk about a problem, it's not an attempt to solve the problem, simply a request to be heard and various viewpoints validated. When a man approaches another man with a problem, it's understood that both parties are on task to solve the problem, not to validate one's feelings. Men are hardwired to be problem solvers. When a man is confronted with a problem that they're not allowed to solve, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Our brain chemistry is wired to 1. Identify the problem, and 2. Take steps to solve the problem, so we get a hit of that sweet, sweet dopamine. To be confronted with a problem we can't solve makes it so we don't get that feel-good hormone and are stuck in panic mode. I've tried in my life to be a better listener. I realize that someone talking about a problem is not always a plea for an answer to solve it. I just wish we could ask in advance. I wish we could say, "Am I solving a problem, or am I listening to you?" Just that one simple question would help us figure out where to go and how to act. Story 4. Not enjoying small talk in certain situations doesn't mean I'm in a bad mood or feeling antisocial. When I moved to my current city, I hated getting haircuts. I started growing my hair out, and my wife asked me why I was doing it. My short hair apparently looked better. She thought I was crazy when I said I missed my old barber and couldn't find a new one I liked. He was the perfect barber, that rare type that would motion at the chair when I walked in, ask me if I wanted the usual, and say, "See you next month," as I paid. I may be the odd one here, but I don't feel the need to tell everyone that cuts my hair my whole life story. Conversation is great in the right situations. Me not feeling like talking to someone doesn't mean something's wrong, just means I don't feel like talking. Story 5. We can hang out with other guys all day and not talk about anything personal or of substance. I think women tend to share more of this stuff with each other. What's going on in their relationships, career, etc. While guys tend to not share this kind of stuff with each other so often. We will every now and then, but a lot of time we tend to kind of keep things on the surface. I've just had so many of these kinds of conversations. "So how's Jeff doing?" "He's doing well." "Is he still going out with Amanda?" "I actually don't know." "Well, didn't you guys hang out all day?" "Yeah." "What did you talk about?" "Nothing really, just kind of whatever." "Isn't he your friend?" "One of my best friends." Story 6. Your hints are obvious to other women, not men. If it can be rationalized, it will. No, we're not getting jealous when you're dating someone to get our attention. We're thinking, good for her. I'm glad she found someone. We're not thinking that you're trying to get our attention by hanging out with us, even when you specifically ask to be alone with us. We're thinking, wow, I'm so glad to have a friend who wants to hang out with me. Words matter. They're effective and leave no room for misinterpretation. Just say you want to date us. Us guys are trained not to assume a girl is into us. If we do and we're wrong, we're socially crucified. At worst, it could result in legal action, depending on the extent it went to. It's too dangerous for us to assume, so please don't make us. I think that is a big one for women to understand these days. If a guy assumes the wrong thing and says the wrong thing, even though the hints seem to be there, the possibility that it could go very wrong for us and we would have to pay in some sort of legal or even monetary way is very scary to us. It's just another reason why we don't reach out for physical intimacy or social intimacy. We have to be just as cautious as some women do when they give out hints. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of this video and have a wonderful day. Story 7. That we're looking at the thing being worked on or the problem being discussed and are not aware of the emotional issues surrounding it. It's why we're trying to suggest solutions for what you talk to us about. We literally sometimes can't conceive of there being anything but the problem. We don't know that it's not about the problem. We don't know it's about how you feel. If it's a car problem, to us it's a machine that needs a part fix, not how it felt to have a breakdown on the highway. We really are trying to help, but often it's not the same problem as to what you're experiencing. I've been married about 10 years, and I still don't usually get it. Story 8. Stop trying to pick apart my mind. If a girl asks, "What are you thinking about?" or "What did you say?" and I respond with, "Oh, nothing," it's always a problem. Sometimes I'm legit not thinking about anything. Sometimes I'm thinking about how that one time in 3rd grade my friend's dog wouldn't let me pet it and why it was such a jerk that day. It's all random and has no value to anything. Sometimes I blurt out, "What if the earth really is flat?" and then catch myself and think, "No, that's dumb as hell." And a lady will push tooth and nail for me to repeat myself even after promptly explaining that things I've said no value to anything. Sometimes I do big dumb, okay? Accept it. Story 9. Sometimes I just don't feel like spicy time. It doesn't mean I don't find you attractive or that I'm sleeping with someone on the side or that I'm secretly attracted to your best friend or that I'm gay. Sometimes I'm tired or stressed or just don't feel like having spicy time at the moment. There's no need to sulk or pout or bring it up 2 months later when we're having an argument. Remember those first 2 months we were dating and I was desperately trying to get in your pants and you turned me down? Did I sulk or pout or become passive aggressive? No. I realized that not everyone is ready for spicy time all the time. That's another big one I think women don't understand. There are many times people comment on the way women are portrayed in the media and how men will believe it. I think this is one of those times where men are portrayed a certain way in the media and women believe that. We're not always looking for action. It may seem like it, and we are, as I've said before, socially and physically starved for attention, but it's not always the case. There are some of us that do respect boundaries and don't try to let it get to us. Story 10. Why our pride keeps us from doing certain things. Asking for directions or help are the common examples, but also not coming off as high maintenance or cheap. Things like not sending food back, not using small coupons, and being sheepish with large coupons. We don't know why either, but it tends to go away in our 30s and 40s. Also, health issue denial. I figured I had lung cancer for years before I found out what heartburn is. Never occurred to me to see a doctor or tell anyone. We're living an illusion and faking it until we make it, I guess. Story 11. Might not be the hardest, but explaining that men are generally fine helping with non-manly tasks. There's this stereotype that men who join a girl to do girly things, or even mundane things like grocery shopping, are bored and only doing it to appease the girl. That's usually incorrect. Ask me to go dress shopping with you? My sense of style might be barbaric, but we will make you look amazing. Take a spa day? I've never felt so clean and high quality in my life. Story 12. When the question, "What are you thinking about?" gets answered with nothing, like I don't really want to explain how I just imagined what it would be like if I was in a zombie apocalypse and what I would do and where I'd hide. All the places I'd have to go to get food, weapons, and junk. How I just imagined if it was me in place of Will Smith in I Am Legend and what I'd do in his place. Stuff like that, it's easier to answer nothing than having to explain all of that and get told, "You're weird," even though it's funny. That is so true. Even guys who aren't considered geeks may have thoughts like this all the time. I know there are many times when someone asks me what I'm thinking about, I've tried to explain exactly what I'm thinking about, and I get that, "Wow, you're weird" comment. It's another one of those reasons why we'll pull back, and then girls wonder why we don't open up more. We do open ourselves up, we get attacked, and then we just realize it's not worth it. Story 13. Sometimes I'm just horny, but in a committed relationship, sometimes I look at you and I'm just so in love that I want to be as close and intimate with you as I can, which is spicy time. My ex and I had different love languages, and she would worry that I don't love her as much as she loves me, which was crazy because I was head over heels for her at all times. Trying to explain that really close, lovey, spicy time was one of the ways I showed her exactly how deeply I was in love with her, but she didn't get it. Story 14. As much as we're seen as crazed pigs, we talk so little about women when we get together for drinks or something like that. And when we do, the topic doesn't last long. Literally can't even remember when was the last time me and my best bud talked about women. We're both single too. Just usually talking about our old friends from school and what they're doing. Cars, our jobs, sports, or politics occasionally. Story 15. That just because I'm a guy doesn't mean I don't care. I've had women talk to me about guys losing their hair. He's a guy, so he doesn't care. I know a lot of guys who hate being bald, or the fact that they're balding and their hair is thinning and their hairline is receding. The idea that we don't care or don't care about our looks because we're a guy is ridiculous. I know exactly how devastating it is for women to lose their hair as they get older, but I'm amazed at how nonchalant women are when guys discover or lament the fact that they're losing their hair. We care just as much about it too. We know that we're perceived differently when our hair is different. I know that I'm going to have to accept being perceived differently when I lose my hair. I really don't see myself as a toupee kind of guy. Story 16. When you say, "Does this outfit look okay?" and we say, "Yes, you look stunning," and you reply, "Well, you would say that." Half my brain thinks, "Please believe me because you do look stunning," and the other half thinks, "What the hell did you ask me for if you aren't going to believe me?" Story 17. That we don't know every detail about everyone else in my life. When I mention I hung out with someone, my mom will ask me what their wife does for a living and can't understand that it didn't come up in conversation. Story 18. I have to constantly explain to my wife why my 2-year-old son is obsessed with his junk. I have to explain why he always wants to touch it and grab it when his diaper is off. She will never understand why our baby and his father share this habit. I think girls don't understand because our junk is literally out there. It is always out there. It doesn't retract. Don't girls adjust their boobs when they're alone? Aren't they out there? I have a feeling you do the same thing. Story 19. When we say we don't care, we really don't care. Yes, you can have an opinion on something, but when we say we don't care, that means our opinion isn't strong enough to sway us either way on something. Story 20. Sometimes an erection just happens. We don't control the thing. It's a physical response that could literally be from nothing. Story 21. The fact that we can ride in a car with another man for 5 hours and not say a word drives my wife crazy. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.